Well, old and crackadated is gonna clean the floor in the tent today, cause I'm telling you what, this morning Rough and Ridge went out and went through the weeds and the grass and probably down through the corn or whatever. They were sopping wet and muddy and nasty, and come running in there and jumped right on the bunk with me. Oh, I wish I'd had the camera on, but I did some film inside the tent this morning, a little wake-up intro to the day, and I had the remote mic plugged into the camera, but I didn't need a remote mic in there, so I didn't have my remote on, and it's silent. So I'll have to do voice overdub in the studio on that. And but I've got to drag all the gear out and take it apart. And look at the mud right here. And what those puppies have found is that they can use this as a trampoline to play on. They'll run and they'll flop on their back and bounce against that right there and shake water down on top of me. Last night they were doing that. They were having a ball. They'd get up there and just whoom, and it'd spring them back, and that way they could wrestle and fight. And there'd be two around there doing the same thing, and around here doing the same thing, and it just shaking the water off the top of the tent. But now I love the way this thing, it's got a loop in it to, what I did, I just used that and turn it around and then spin it back down. But it's got the Velcro, and what you want to do is undo the Velcro and then unzip it. And then it's got a strap in the middle to peg down in the middle. Oh, and let me get over here. There's one YouTuber I saw that made a statement about this YouTuber that keeps his back turned to the camera quite a bit, and I thought, well, he ain't talking about me, because I do that all the time. But get this stuff out and air it out. The sun will do wonders for that stuff. I gotta change those pillowcases. I should have done it yesterday and I didn't. I like the remote mic because I can walk off and talk and keep the film going, and who needs to see me in the film all the time? But I'll hang this up here and let it air out. Well, hello there. I covered up the camera lens. I'm really smart. Okay, I'll lower that down because I'm gonna come out, and I hope this thing will keep on running. Yeah, it's still going. Without glasses, it's hard to see that. Oh, oh, and is it ever warm in there? Oh. I don't know whether you can see it or not, but there's muddy footprints up and down both sides that where they tromped around on it. Now this makes handling gear so easy. Rolls around. Let me put it up here. It'll store quite a bit of stuff. 2 sleeping bags, a blanket, the cover for the cot. Keep my phone and all its gear in there. Oh! And I use it to bring stuff out here with. Oh. Oh, I'll spill all the kerosene out of that. It's battery operated. Oh. I'm telling you, it is hot today, and yesterday it was boiling. Last night, at about 9 o'clock, it was still 80 degrees out here. But anyway, that's one of the handiest gearboxes that I've run across. Okay, now we're gonna unzip this and get it ready. I gotta get my instructions for the tent, and what I'm gonna do is fold the tent down and then, no, that's not the tent instructions, that's the, well, I don't know where the instructions are. But time to break this cot down. Oh, is that ever easy? You know, as tight as that thing assembles, you would think that it would really unload when you pop the keepers on there. Oh, pretty easy to take down. And of course it helps when you first get one of these to actually look at the instructions. So when you, oh, I definitely won't edit that out, being my fumble feet. Whew. Oh, that's gotten hot. Almost too hot to touch. Whew. Put them under there and let them cool. Yeah, I didn't even look at the instructions before I started putting that thing together the first time. Oh, and the puppies, of course, they had to start trying to chew on the end of the cot where the end of the pouch is. Oh. Whew. Oh. I think I'm deconstructing me while I'm out here. Well, I do need to put them in the other way. Otherwise they won't fit all the way in. Yeah, see, they were poking out here, so if I take them, turn around, put the clip down handle in first, then it goes all the way down. And alternate them where they'll fit in there. There you have it. The cot is done. Well, I'll turn the camera off for a few minutes. After I pack this in here. I think what I better do is let the camera cool off for a few minutes because it's going to get warm, and when it does, it'll cut off depending on how warm it is. Readjust the camera too. Well, there's the damage that the dogs did to the tent. That hole right there. Of course, I bought some more bug net to use to patch it with. Got a few little claw holes there where the big dogs got on it. A little bit of stuff right there, but I would say that's amazing that I didn't get more damage than that with 7 puppies and 2 big dogs. So let me set the camera back on the stand, and I'm going to take this thing down and fold it up. See how crazy it is. Well, I shot a whole segment of, and this ain't right. That camera is nowhere pointed close to me, but it's centered up on the screen. I don't know what's wrong. It shows it's centered up on the screen and it's pointing over here. Well, if I'm not in the screen, that's too bad. It defies science. But I shot a whole segment of taking the tent down. After I shot that little piece of the hole in the door, started the camera, but it never did start. the camera was hot. It's real hot out there today, and when it gets hot, it gets temperamental. And I did one of my first videos I did was on a real hot day. Turned the camera on, it showed the light, but it didn't make the first frame. Same thing this way, it didn't even indicate it cut on. That whole thing was blank. And all the talk I did, I decided, hey, I ain't gonna go back through all that stuff again. It's just what it is. It's like that brand new GoPro I got last year. It was garbage. On a hot day like this, you may turn it on and it may never film the first frame. If the battery gets the least bit hot, off it goes. Didn't have that problem with the old carbon batteries and NiCad batteries, but you do with lithium batteries. They are so temperamental when they get hot. I don't know what the tolerance is on voltage for cameras, but it's getting frustrating. It looks like I'm going to have to do a lot of stuff in cold weather to even get it to shoot. But that's been a problem with this camera and the GoPro. Didn't have any trouble with the zoom camera last year in the heat. The video quality of it is not as sharp. It does okay in the studio, but in the great outdoors, if you're not close with the camera, then you don't get good quality out of it. And looks like I may end up having to get another phone service, because shooting on the phone that you use and then you get full on your phone storage, and then you do that cloud stuff, and I'm sorry, but there's a lot of nights lately that cloud has been unresponsive. It didn't matter if I was trying to go to it with my phone or, well, my internet service is not reliable, so that may be it, but even on the Wi-Fi it wouldn't track to the cloud. I spent all night one night just trying to connect to the cloud. So yeah, I'd like to go back to the old VCR type stuff. It's a lot easier to edit. You could just set up with an editing machine and run your tape. You'd have your video there, and you could clip out what you needed, add in what you needed, and make a whole new tape. With your edit on there, and all your originals stay like it was. But that was so frustrating. I did such a good job on the tent takedown, and I wanted that mistake I made to be in there. I zipped up the doors and windows. Well, there's a reason I remember somebody saying you unzip the doors and windows, because that thing is airtight basically. It's like trying to deflate a big tractor tire or something. So I had to flop it back out and unzip the doors and windows, and then it folded over just as easy. I may reshoot that video tomorrow. Just show the tent popping out, and then zip up the doors and windows and show what happens when you try to fold it. So Old and Crackadated is all cracked up today. Well, yeah, and I make a mistake, and then the camera makes a mistake, and pile all that together, and I can make a mess. Well, Old and Crackadated, if it can, it will, and yeah, it's already done it today. Well, things have not been going all that well with me lately. Seemed like I cut the camera on and it just cut itself right off before I even got around to film taking that tent down, so I'll just do a setup and a takedown. You take the elastic band off of it and boom. Well, it's supposed to set up a little faster than that, but it's now set up. And to take it down, of course, I should show what happens when you don't unzip the windows and the doors. I tried folding that thing and it was like trying to fold a blimp. It was full of air and it wouldn't fold. So then I remembered, yeah, you're supposed to unzip so it'll compress. But I went like this and it just all ballooned out and stopped me. So you just gather in all the hoops. That's easier than jumping through hoops. Then well, I did it pretty good the first time. Another figure 8. And come over with it. And it's done. Oh. Now time to slip it in the bag. Yeah, I had it folded the wrong way on the last figure 8. The other times the reason it didn't pop out and just set itself up. But if you fold it where the bottom shows itself. Oh, I forgot to put the strap on it. Okay. Yep, forgot to put the strap on it. Now it'll go in the bag. Oh. Well, about turning my back to the camera, but you gotta do what you gotta do. First time I folded it, no problem. Oh. Just popped it right on in the bag because I put the strap on it. But I am tired today. So even totally worn out, you can bag this thing. It ain't easy when you're tired. And the temperature right now is probably about 95. I don't know what the humidity is. It's high, I can tell you that. And about tent condensation. So many of these so-called experts, because they've been camping a long time, forgot what they were taught in science class about dew point. That has more to do with condensation in a tent than anything else. When that fabric reaches the dew point, all the moisture in the air will condense on the bottom side. You take an open carport, you don't think it's got ventilation? Well, an open carport, when that bottom roof reaches the dew point, moisture is going to form on it. Water dripping. Water drips out from under my carport all the time because this is right next to a swamp. A couple of 100 yards down there is a swamp. I mean a real swamp. It's got all kind of critters in it. And this valley has a lot of moisture in it. And when it cools faster than it does in other places. And if the temperature is 70 degrees everywhere else around the county, down here it'll be 67. You walk on down that hill and the temperature will drop 5 degrees. Just about a 10-foot drop. And the temperature will drop 5 degrees because it's in that creek bottom. When it flooded here, I had water cover the whole lower pasture except for a 15-foot strip along the top edge and the hay mound, which I had planned to grade the hay mound down and flatten everything out the week before, but it started raining, and I'm glad I didn't. It's the only dry place the horses had down there where that bale of hay was. And Freckles, my old blind mare, was in her stall and half of it flooded. But she did have the upper part where I had planned, when I leveled the hay, to level the mound in her corral there. If I had, she'd have been standing in water and I'd have had to build a gate across the end of the barn and let her go in there. Whew. But dew points are something you got to consider on tent condensation. Now if you got a double wall tent, the thing is the temperature may not reach that dew point inside there because it's got a layer on the outside which may reach the dew point and collect moisture. But that's the reason you have condensation in tents. It's got nothing to do with your ventilation. You can't ventilate below the dew point. When it reaches it, you're going to have water forming on whatever. It's like the grass. The dew point causes it to form dew. Why do you think I call it dew point? It's where moisture condenses on any inanimate object. Well, that's packing that up. Old and crackadated, and all his expert advice. But I enjoyed my camp out with the puppies. I just wish the camera had worked this morning, because I had a good time with them puppies. And then I forgot to unplug the transmitter or receiver on the camera and filmed some video in the tent last night, and it's all silent. So what I'm gonna have to do is overdub it in the studio and just tell what was happening. But little Rowdy, troublemaker, was chewing on the net on the door of the tent, and I got on to him and brought him up in front of the camera and tilted his head back so you could see how I identify him. They look so much alike. You turn him up, he's got a big stripe here and a little stripe here. And he's a boy. Well, I've got a female the same way. She's got the big stripe. That's the one I call Betsy Bug. And then Penny is the one that's got no stripe, but she's got just a little tuft of white hair right in the middle of her chest. And she's slick haired, like Betsy Bug. And of course, little Ben, he's the little one, and he got that curly hair. And then Big Precious Bear, I'm telling you, that dog is funny. And of course, he's into everything. And when he goes to the water bowl, he'll slop his feet in and splash water all over him to cool himself down. One of those little water bowls that I use as a food bowl too. But he's easy to identify. He's got that shaggy hair and the cutest look in his face, that curly hair. His eyes just tell it all. He, my boy, my little boy, Ben. Then my precious girls, Betsy and Penny. Let's see, is that Bear, Ben, Betsy, Penny, and Rowdy? I've got 5 of them named. I hadn't picked a name out for the other 2. Well, old and crackadated. If it can, it will. And man, has it ever done it in the last couple of days. I am really struggling with all the events that have taken place. And I was watching another YouTuber that it seems that everything in his life has gone upside down. And everything was going so good for him. He was getting in the money in the YouTube, making money off of it and working a restaurant job. And then he had some dishes fall off and cut his wrist, and it's damaged the nerves in his hands. And he's having trouble with workman's comp getting the surgery done. And the thing about that nerve damage, it needs to be done now. It don't need to be done a month from now. It'll be too late. They never will get those nerves straightened out. But I'm not the only one having trouble, so my problems seem minor, even though losing Ladybug that's just pained my heart. That was the loveliest dog, and everybody thought so. She never growled at anybody, just always friendly as she could be, and all she wanted was petting. I sure missed that girl. And of course, this morning in the tent, man, I had to scrub that thing out. I used spick and span multi-purpose cleaner on the floor. Just wet a paper towel and scrubbed it down to get most of the dirt and get the smell out of there. And then I rinsed it down with a big towel and water. And then of course, first I washed down the outside where they got their muddy feet all around the foot of the tent. And it's so funny, they would get against the tent and flop on their back against the tent, and it's like trampoline. It'd spring them back out. They were shaking the tent all night long, water raining down on me. I'd scold them, they'd stop for a while, but then they'd start it again. You'd see the shadow, and all of a sudden, whoomp, the tent shaking. Yeah, they're little trampoline. And Ridge decided to try it. Oh man, caved the tent wall in all the way to the middle in the floor, on top of me. And I hollered at her, she jumped off of it right quick and didn't do it anymore. But they came in this morning, they had been out in the weeds and the bushes and got wet and laid down in the dirt, and they had mud all over them. And what they want to do, come and jump in my bed and waller all over me. So that's the kind of last night. But I enjoyed the 3 nights we spent there. I spent one night in the house and then said, I enjoyed it so much, let's do another night. And of course, puppies had gotten plenty of rest that day because it had been so hot. They wanted to play all night because it was hot in that tent to start with, but I put up my little battery-operated fan and set it up, had my camera case on top of that golf case, and set that thing up there right in the window and let it blow the cool air from outside, and I was pretty comfortable. But the puppies come in and lay down for half an hour and take a nap, and then they jump right up and go back out and play. But I enjoyed last night. I'd get 3 or 4 in at a time. I'm really enjoying them puppies. It's a lot of hard work. I just got through feeding them, and it's like feeding a herd of wild hogs. Well, old and crackadated. If it can, it will. See you later. Something I neglected about telling about this tent is that both doors have zippers as well as the Velcro fasteners on each side. So they'll zip down tight. Ain't no varmints getting in, not even puppies. Ain't that right? Of course, they tend to like guy lines. My little precious babies. And little Bear is always there. It was funny today. No, Bear. No, no. No to you too. Rowdy, you're a mess. Oh, yeah, we had 2 good nights in here, and then I spent the night in the house last night, and we should have done it again last night because it was cooler, but it's just now beginning to cool down where it's tolerable. It's been 90, I guess about 95 degrees here today. Little monsters, didn't I take y'all off that guy line a while ago? Now stop it, both of you. Yeah, I named them both properly. Bear, no, no. Yeah, Bear's going to be a little hard-headed. Come here, buddy. Come here. Come here. Oh! Whew. And just a little fat, too. Just a little fat. But he's going to be my boy, I'm telling you. Him and little Ben. I think there's a little Ben on his back over there, turned upside down. I don't have but 5 of them out here right now. I guess little Ben ain't here then. He never does come out till it gets cool. Yeah, they went down to the barn to feed horses with me today. 6 of them. But Fatso here stayed at the house. It was hot. The rest of them, they didn't mind. They just hung their tongue out and trotted on down there. Ugh. But yeah, I've had a real good time with them. And I was expecting every bit of this tent just to be torn apart all the way around. But they were really well behaved. I think I'm going to love them puppies. Just a little. And it'll be hard to even part with another one, but of course I had 6 labs one time before. I actually had 7 until one got run over, went way down there in the highway and got run over. And he was my first dog here that I got after I got here. My quiche hound got run over 2 weeks after we moved here. I had him chained up at night so he wouldn't run off, and then I unchained him, and a little dog in heat came along and followed it. It followed that dog in heat all the way down there and got run over in the curve. Little Ben, I was just bragging on you, and now you're chewing on the camera tripod. No, Rowdy. Leave that string alone. I'd be better off taking the guy line off, I guess. Well, old and crackadated, and we're going to do another one again tonight, and I've got better lighting tonight, so I'll get a little film inside the tent. Even though it's hard to film with that. I got some good shot with the cell phone, and I put that up on like a minute 52 video this morning. So check that one out. And it wouldn't hurt my feelings if anybody watching would subscribe and hit the thumbs up button and make a comment. I love to read the comments. I was getting quite a few comments, and people just seem like they're in a hurry and don't want to comment. I don't care if it's a criticism or what, because I know I'm not good at this, not even as good as when I started, because my life has gotten too complicated. But I'm doing the best I can, struggling along right now, and I guess it showed in my videos. And I've just started breaking some of the code on 2 more editing programs, so I was able to at least put some headlines in, because the upgrade on the power director is garbage. It's made for strictly computer geeks that sit at computers all the time. I don't have time to do that kind of stuff. I'm working with half a dozen different kind of cameras, and everything takes its own operating system to upload. And they need to make it compatible, just easy. It don't need to be complicated. I'm not a gamer, so I don't make cartoons. I want real things in real time. I don't want to edit out a whole lot of stuff, but I do want to put titles and words and things like I did in my first videos. So, creators that work at those companies, get smart. Make it easy to use. Don't code everything with strange words that mean nothing to me because I'm not a gamer. And I'm just sick of those programs. The basic program that came free was great. I'd have gladly paid to keep that one rather than the new one I've got, because it's too complicated to use. And I don't have that time. I've got farm animals to take care of, got dogs to take care of, cats to take care of, farm equipment to take care of, and I do all this work myself. I don't have a fleet of people. Well, enough of that ranting. Old and crackadated. If it can, it will, and it probably already has.